another episode of Just Be You podcast. Today, I have a great guest. I'm so excited. When I first met her and saw what she was up to, I got really excited by the concept because this is totally something we can all relate to. We're all feeling the pressures of everyday life and we want to be the best versions of ourselves. So I invited Miss Angelique onto the show today to talk about her course that I know you guys will have tons of value from. And I just can't wait for you guys to hear what she's been up to and how she is helping people. So if everyone would give her a warm applause for Angelique. How you doing this morning?
Thank you. You're far too kind. That's my Jay-Z impersonation. I'm great. Thank you for having me. Super
You're
excited to be here.
welcome. Yes, thank you for joining me. So I really loved your concept of toxic ambition. Can you just, give me a overview of what that actually means for you and how did you come up with this course?
Yeah, so it's been sort of a journey for me. So I've always been like an overambitious person. Like I love making plans. I love making lists. Like my lists have lists for lists I need to make. You know what I mean? I'm very that person. And so I've always been the person that's like set their goals, hit them, did the thing. My friends, to the point that it bothers me. My best friend once called me the friend that made it,
Oh, okay.
And so I've always sort of done everything. My background's in architecture and real estate development. I went to college twice. I went to a small art school in San Francisco. I went to grad school in Columbia. I bought my house when I was 27. So a lot of the millennial things that like we're told to want, like I did all those things growing up.
Right.
But I was so unhappy with my life. Like, especially once I finished school, I proposed to my then fiance, now ex-fiance. I bought the house, like I had everything, right? But I was so unbelievably miserable, just so miserable. And, people call it burnout. Me personally, I call them flame outs, like NASCAR when they hit the wall and everything's on fire.
Sure.
Yeah, and spinning out. Yeah, I've had a few flame outs, a couple through college, one right after grad school, one after I bought my house. And the final one was about 4 years ago at this point, where I had a freak accident. I was on the couch for like 6 months. I couldn't move. I was in massive pain. And I was just thinking about my life and how I got here and why I'm always just so tired and always hitting my goals and just consistently unhappy. And so I kept reading things about burnout and imposter syndrome and these things and black tax, all the different things that, move us through this world. And at some point I'm like, okay, but like, why am I burning out? Like I keep doing different things and I keep burning out.
Yeah.
And the real issue is like the why. Like it's me. Like, it's like the Taylor Swift, it's being high. Like I'm the problem. And it's like, unless you actually address your ambition and like where it's driving you and why it's driving you, you're going to keep burning out. And the same way if you hear toxic masculinity, toxic positivity, like toxic ambition, it's a thing. And I remember actually the first time I really thought of this before I was trying to correct my own Flawless, the Beyonce song, the speech that she has the excerpt and they say, you can have ambition, but not too much, right? And I understand the context of that speech and what they're trying to say, but I'm like, someone with less self-awareness or critical thinking skills can take that to mean I can never be too ambitious. But you can when your health is being sacrificed, your mental, your fighting like this. There is such a thing as too much, and there is such a thing as enough. And so that sort of led me to working on myself. And I wrote an article, I guess about 3 years ago, just kind of just talking, it wasn't for anybody. And I shared it with my friends and they were all like, oh my God, this is me. And so I'm like, oh, if I can do this for myself, I can create a framework so people can address this in themselves. So that's how the course was born.
That was sweet. So from developing the course and just like your own life experience, what have you seen has been like common burnouts that people like face that they may even be in denial about? Because I know sometimes you come across people and they're really filled with the ambition. It's like you on the outside are like, maybe you want to cool it, or maybe you want to take one or two things off the list. And they're just like, no. So what have you found was most common?
The most common thing is like filling your plate with too many things. You know, it's like at Thanksgiving when everything looks super good and then you're like piling it on, you don't have space and you want that other thing. So you just put it on top on things that not really supposed to mix. You know, you have like your yams on like your cornbread, on like the ham. It's all a mess, right?
Yeah.
And one of the most common things is people just like hustle culture has like infiltrated our minds to think that if we're resting, we're being lazy or we're not doing enough. And so I have a friend who I love very dearly, and she's constantly tired, constantly depressed, constantly talking to a therapist. And she's like, I have to teach this class, and then I have to go to this board meeting, and I have to do this thing, I have mentoring. And I'm like, have you tried saying no? She's like, I can't say no. I'm like, yes, you can. You've told yourself that you can't. And so, you know, kind of the most common things I see is, you know, inability to say no, the filling your plate, but also it's the voice in your head that is dictating your choices instead of you dictating your choices. Like for me, for myself, when I bought my house, the moment I made that initial deposit, in my head, I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I want to go travel. That's what I like to do. Yeah. And I was like, but my parents and then fiance expected me to do it. And I'm like, if I don't buy the house, then I'm not serious about our relationship, or people think that I'm not committed to hitting my goals. And at the end of the day, we create such a world about outside perception that we forget to like stop and like go inside and ask ourselves. And going inside yourself is the scariest thing, because oftentimes you'll find that you've drifted off your path, but you don't want to address that. You don't want to figure out how to reverse course or course correct, or you're like too far in, you know, like there's so many lawyers I know that say if they could do it all over again, they wouldn't be a lawyer. Yeah. But they realize this like year 2 or year 3 of law school, and they're like, well, I'm here, so
gotta finish.
I guess I have to finish. Right. Yeah. I have to finish. Like, no, you don't. I mean, you'll have a lot of debt for no apparent reason, but you'll be happier than, you know, continuing a career that isn't enjoyable for you. Like, why do it? So yeah, those are the most common. Denial is probably one of the most common things I see, like you said.
Yeah, no, I totally get that for 2 reasons. A, I'm a New Yorker, so I totally get that whole aspect of constantly doing the things. And I know you and I have spoken about this because we spent some time in New York, and New York is very fast paced, and it's just like go, 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 go. And it's like sometimes you're standing there and it's like, well, why am I going again? Like, what is the reason? Is it for me or is it for somebody else? So that is definitely like something for everyone to kind of take in. And even like with career goals, like it's okay to change your mind halfway in, because I wanted to be a dentist. And then I was like, once I was in like the whole dental field full time and got to see the ins and outs, I was like, yeah, maybe this isn't for me. Like the debt, like there's people my age and the things that they were complaining about. I was like, yeah, I don't see that for myself. And it just, you know, kind of being okay with letting go of that dream or that goal that maybe no longer applies, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you outgrow friends, you outgrow, you know, your hometown, you can outgrow your ideas too. Like that was an idea and now it's not. And I'm very glad you're not a dentist, because I would not like you if you were a dentist.
Well, you probably would. I'm really fun. So I will take whatever it is that I'm doing, and we're going to have some fun in it.
Listen, I moved 6 months ago. I still haven't got a new dentist, because my dentist back home, God, Dr. Madison was my dentist since I was 16. It took me 10 years to like this man, okay? Like, he's been my dentist for, God, I guess 17, 18 years. It took a long time for me to like him. Yeah. And he's a nice guy. I just can't stand it.
I know. I mean, but like anything else, when you're looking for a dentist, just do your research. And dentistry has changed from the archaic days of like the 19 whenever. So there are a lot of places that have better bedside manner, but in time.
Listen, it's not the manner. I've gotten so many mouth shots, cavities filled, all look, I have a Prius in my mouth, okay? Teeth are expensive.
I know this, and they look good.
Thank you. They better. But anyway.
Yeah, sorry for the tooth sidebar.
Welcome to the dental podcast. Yeah.
I know it somehow makes its way into every life, but whatever. We're not here to talk about teeth. We're talking about burnout.
There we go.
So, well, you were going through, the highs and lows of life. Where did you? I know you mentioned you read some kind of books, but did you immediately know where to go or to find the tools that you were looking for? Because I know I definitely didn't. So what was kind of like your process to like overcome the different challenges of life?
Yeah, I definitely didn't know where to go at all. It was a lot of trial by fire, and just kind of serendipitous things. So I had my injury at the end of 2019, COVID happened and we couldn't go outside. So, things were becoming available that, for free that previously weren't. And I remember just browsing online and I saw this free course from Yale that's on Coursera. It's called The Science of Happiness. And I was like, oh, interesting. And so I was looking at it and I remember taking the course and thinking like, okay, like, yeah, like, because I was just feeling so unhappy after 6 months of just being on the couch. And so that sort of sparked something in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I talked about my solo tour around the country in 2021, and I just happened to go to a bookstore and right up front was this book, Do Nothing. I looked right at it. It said, Do Nothing. And it's How to Break Away from Overworking, Overdoing, and Underliving by Celeste Headley.
Nice.
And I looked at it and I said, drag me. Like, okay, I didn't I'm just browsing. Like, I wasn't really trying to find books,
Yeah.
But this book really sort of changed the game. There's a few others I can give you to put in the show notes that I have. But instead of saying those titles, I will tell you why this book dragged me, because I said, all right, let me open it up and see what this book is talking about, because I've seen self-development books and professional development, but they helped me with my career, but they never helped me with the answer, of how to be more peaceful and centered. But I'm gonna read this first paragraph to you, and then I'm gonna ask you when it was written. Okay.
Got it.
Yeah. It will be said that while a little leisure is pleasant, men would not know how to fill their days if they had only 4 hours of work out of the 24. Insofar as this is true in the modern world, it's a condemnation of our civilization. It would not have been true at any earlier period. There was formerly a capacity for lightheartedness and play, which has been to some extent inhibited by the cult of efficiency. The modern man thinks that everything ought to be done for the sake of something else and never for its own sake. Mm. Bertrand Russell wrote this in a book called In Praise of Idleness. When was this written?
I'm gonna say maybe the 50s, 40s, around there.
1932.
Oh.
This was 90 years ago.
And it all still applies because we're all doing the same things.
Exactly. Before the internet, before like TikTok, before all the different things. Yeah. 1932, and we're still here, And so when I read that, I'm like, yeah, I need to get my life together. Like,
but at least you're not alone facing those things.
Exactly.
It's been going on for like forever, literally.
Exactly. But I highly recommend Do Nothing. It really talks through kind of how we even got to the space of working the way that we do, and then like the cult of efficiency, and then some sort of life hacks to sort of get your time back.
Nice. I love that. So since you're and we spoke about this briefly last time about, how we don't know how to live. So what are some of the things that you feel like, we can do to live? What are your, I guess, 2 takeaways in your own journey?
Oh man. 2 takeaways. Okay. Pause. Like, and I don't even mean like pause for an hour or pause for the weekend. Like when you have a thought, just pause and think about it. I was reading a book, it's called How to Think, and it said whenever you're confronted with an idea that you don't understand, you don't agree with, like give it 5 minutes before you respond, like really let it sit in, because we're so quick to just go, go, go. I don't like that. Oh, they're canceled. Oh, this, oh, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Just pause. And so for me, when I get really amped up about something, or I need to work on this, or I have to do this, like those sort of words, or I should want to do this, like just pause and then think, one, is this life or death? Most likely not. Two, is this mission critical? AKA, does this have to be done right now? Will it make a difference if I do it tomorrow or the next week or whenever?
Right.
And three, where is this coming from? Like, where is the should, need to, have to coming from? Like that's number one tip. Number two tip, if I ask you, what are your hobbies? What is your first answer? And how long does it take you to have an answer? Because I didn't have an answer for a long time. And when I did, I had to hold it in because my first answer was drinking. And I was like, that's a really bad first answer. Like, I can't say this at a networking event. You can't say that. You have to have another answer. Like I'm gonna get an intervention when I go home. Like,
right.
Like, are you okay? Put the drink down. And like I would say with a drink in my hand. And like, so I can't say that. Alternatively, I'm really into craft breweries. That's the exact same answer. But it has an activity that involves you going outside and interacting with other people.
Yeah.
So definitely have a hobby and try to do that hobby at least once a week.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah. Because
we get so caught up that we forget how to play or how to have fun or just how to. I had a friend, my friend that's here he's giving a talk this afternoon. He's staying with me. And I flew in last night and I said, look, I just got the plane. I'm tired. I cannot entertain you, but I do need to go to the beach and have a drink, as we've discussed. And so he was like, I don't do beach. I don't know how to relax. And so we packed up the beach chairs, the tent, all that. We sat out there and he's like, I see why people do this. I'm like, yeah, we sat out there for 2 hours. We made some friends. We people watched.
Yeah.
We had a good time, but he doesn't unplug like that. So knowing how to do that is super important.
Yeah, just kind of like touching in, because I remember what kind of like set things off, and kind of one of the things that led to the show was I was talking to my therapist and she was like, well, what did you like to do when you were a kid? And I was like, oh, well, and I rattled off a whole bunch of things. And I was like, doop, 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 doop. And she was like, okay, well, why don't you start doing those things again and seeing what happens? And for like 2 weeks, I was having the time of my life because I was revisiting all like my childhood things. And I'm like, oh, yes, I need to like reincorporate this, but like in a more adultish way, I guess. So yeah, I totally resonate with that. So guys, if you're trying to figure out what your hobby is, think about what you did as a kid, because I'm pretty sure those things still exist.
And even just to piggyback on that, just money, like how you spend money, because today, adult has $100 entrance fee if you go outside, and so, and a few years ago, before eggs were $30, I was asking myself, I was like, why am I spending so much money? How is this possible? I'm like, when I was in high school, my mom gave me $5 for lunch, and we were the rich kids for having that, And I'm like, and we made it work. We made it stretch. We had 35 cents for the bus, went to Jamba Juice, $3.25, went across, got 12 donut holes for 95 cents, living, right? And I'm thinking, what if I did that again? What if I just tried to spend $5 to feed myself or whatever? And you'd be surprised what you can do with $5 still. But again, it's going back to like overcomplicating the situation of like, oh, I want to go here and this is like $32. I don't really want to spend $32 on dinner.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to the sports bar, I'm gonna get these $8 wings, I'm gonna go home. Like, or I'm gonna cook, whatever it is. But the more that we kind of get deeper into adulthood and access to more things, we feel like we have to access those things because we can.
Yeah.
but that's not always true, you know, or like we have to be on because we're so successful. We should do as many things to be more successful, but maybe we should go draw like a hopscotch thing
Yeah.
in chalk and just do that with your friends, you know, go play some horse, you know, something, go do something.
Yeah, that's kind of like moving the body and just, getting your mind to like freely think without having so much like restriction or boundaries. So I hear that.
Yeah.
But you had mentioned something about money. So it had got me thinking, because I also kind of practice like, oh, if I've got $5, let me see how far I can stretch this bad boy. Outside of the fact that I'm mildly cheap, but if I can stretch it, I will. Do you feel
Mm-hmm.
like that kind of, or it may play on like the scarcity mindset? Because I kind of feel like it could be a fine line if you start thinking that way. Or, I mean, it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be all
Yeah.
the time, but it can, I feel like it's like teetering, like, and we don't want people to fall into
Yeah.
scarcity mindset. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I 100% agree. It's a tough balance between trying to be frugal. Like I always say, I am the cheapest bee alive. Okay,
Yeah,
that's me. I have certain things I splurge for, and then
right.
everything else I'm like wildly cheap. You know, like for me, my day-to-day life is very banal. It's very, I don't do too many crazy things. When I have visitors and we're taking them out, that's different. But
Yeah.
my day-to-day life is very chill. My extravagant life is when I go travel because I'm like, oh, I'm here and I want to enjoy the things. But you know, it's a delicate balance between scarcity mindset and then just being flippant with money, because it's like if you grew up, in the projects and now you make $150,000, first of all, congratulations. But
Mm-hmm.
also, you should ask yourself, how much money are you saving every month? Because if you're running your check to eat, that's also not a good thing. You're squandering, these different opportunities. And it's really about what are your frugal things, what are your every now and then things, and what are your splurge things. And when
Yeah.
I was buying my house, I deprived myself of so many things. I remember I once went to Starbucks when I didn't really need coffee, but I wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent it and then I not only did I get a coffee, I got the little 3-pack of Madeleines,
Yeah.
and I walked out and I said, whoa, 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 girl, you were crazy. You just spent $8. We're trying to buy a house. You can't do that. Like, I mean, it was that bad. I was just like, okay, like I've been saving. I can allow myself this $8. But I really had a whole scullion going up California Street about this $8. So,
Yeah.
but it's you have to find that balance, and that's really what it is. There's that phrase, everything in moderation, right?
Yeah.
And it's really about knowing, set the goal. Okay, if I hit the goal, I'm close to the goal. My goal is to say $500 a month. I've got a week left in the month. I'm at 450. All right, let me go spend the $8.
Yeah.
If the goal is 500 and I'm at 200, it's like, girl, let's just try and get as much as we can in here, okay? Because you
Yeah.
already messed up.
No,
So
I
yeah,
I
I
hear
agree
that.
though.
Well, since you're talking about goals, you also teach how to set goals in your course. So and I know there's tons of strategies out there to set goals. We got the SMART goals and making sure they're realistic, but what is your approach in a healthy, like realistic way to set a goal and meet the goal? Because it's one
Yeah,
thing to set it, but if you're not meeting it and you're constantly just like changing it and like you're trying to tempt this bad boy for like 6 months, depending how big or small it is, and you're not doing it, like how
right.
do you like fix that?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna do a tiny TED talk about unhealthy goals and healthy goals. And
Okay.
so one of the biggest things about unhealthy goals is so many things, but my biggest thing is the sin of comparison. Like that will eat you up. Okay. I am 33. I'm turning 34 this year. You know who's also 33 and turning 34 this year? Taylor Swift. And this chick from the UK, her name's Adele. Okay.
Ah,
Now I could
yeah.
sit here and say, we're the same age and they're international phenomenons, award-winning artists, blah, blah, blah. And I could sit here and beat myself up that I've done nothing at 34 until you realize you are comparing uncomparable talents. You cannot, or uncomparable fields. Like I am not a Grammy worthy singer. you know, I'm not going to break any glass, but I'm also not going to win any awards, you know, and they are, apologies to any Swifties or Adele fans out there, but they are not tech entrepreneurs. They cannot build, like do a real estate project. They cannot design a house on their own, you know, do the drawings and everything. They're not technical like I am. So we have different skill sets. So if you're going to compare yourself to somebody, compare yourself to someone that is in your field with the same skill set, with the same background. Then maybe you could feel a little crappy about yourself. Maybe. But even then, just don't do it.
Gotcha.
But when it comes to the healthy goal setting, the first big thing is just knowing your why. Like, why are you doing this? Is it because your parents want you to do it? Is it because society is expecting you to do it? Is it because you feel like you're behind your friends and they're all moving forward and you're standing still? So you're going to go do this. You know, like I have friends who their primary goal in life is to be married. So they go and say yes to the first schmuck that asks them. And it's not because they like the person, it's because they want to be married. And that's insane to me. But you know, so
I'm like, child, marriage is not easy and it's not sweet.
The thing that people don't realize about marriage, sorry, side TED talk to the TED talk, is after you're married, you have to still be with them. So once the party's over, you better like them, you know? But it's true with your goals. Once you hit the goal, you know, your life is set up the way it is now. So I hope you like where you put yourself. But I think knowing your why, asking yourself if you really have control over the situation or not. Like, because there's external variables and internal variables. And so back to the house example, I can save my money. I'm in control of this, right? I control how I spend my money. Bidding on a house is a very different phenomenon. And because you are not in control on what the buyer or what the seller wants to do. Right. And I remember I complained to my mom and I was like, Mom, I just don't understand. Like, it's so frustrating. I don't know why I'm not doing this right. And she goes, my mom used to hate when I was hard on myself. And so she goes, Angie, you realize that this is the first time in your life you set a goal and there's an obstacle to you hitting it, right? And I was like, and my mom was very soft-spoken. So again, I was like, drag me. But she was right. I can't control what the seller wants to do. I can't control if someone comes in with an all-cash offer or waives all contingencies, which I'm not going to do because I financially cannot fix a $50,000 repair for no reason, you know? Right. So I think, you know, knowing if you have control, I think being flexible in your mindset, because we get so fixated on it has to be this. Like it has to be this. And if it's not that, then everything's terrible. You're a failure. It didn't work, you know? But like, if you think about cooking, for example, because I like bake. See, I have hobbies. I bake, I cook, and I bake. Okay. And there's lots of cakes that have, you know, or dishes that have like a lot of garnish, right? And that's 100% of the recipe. You garnish for the thing. I don't like coconut, so I don't put coconut flakes on.
Gotcha.
And to me, but I did 90% of the recipe. And so therefore, I'm happy. It's good. By my standards, it's good. I could do the coconut and all that, but I'm not gonna like the cake. You know? So I think it's just knowing that like sometimes you're gonna hit 90%, sometimes you're gonna get 20, sometimes gonna be none, sometimes the goal is gonna disappear. And sometimes you might go to a college and suddenly it gets unaccredited.
Yeah.
It's not your fault.
You gotta think of something else. Like, okay, what are we gonna do now?
Right? And I think my last point on this is just be careful with your words. Like, you know, it's like that phrase, like sticks and stones, but the words you say to yourself and the stories we tell ourselves and the words that we say to ourselves are so, so powerful, especially the one we can't hear, the one that nobody can hear but you, where it's like, oh, you're so dumb. You should have known this was never for you. Blah, blah, blah. This is why people like you don't do this, or you're never going to do this, or I'm always going to be this. If you say so, it'll do it. You know, the universe is listening. It's like, all right, fam, you're always going to be like that. You're never going to have this opportunity. All right, then.
Yeah. No, that's a whole word
this opportunity.
Like,
you know, just so, but I think there's real power to that. And obviously, you know, this is very easy to say, right? It's harder to actually live it. Like I suffer from like anxiety and depression. And some days I'm just down, you know, some days I'm just down. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna be down today. and tomorrow's another day. And I've gone through bouts of depression long enough to know, even when I'm in those dark spaces, that this is going to last forever. But it's not going to last forever because there are other moments you said that were going to last forever that didn't. So we're just going to feel the crap feeling.
Yeah.
And then when we're done, we're going to go hard again, you know? And so, but again, that's the stories we tell ourselves. Like, the mind is incredibly powerful, and knowing better does not mean doing better. It literally does not. So just be careful with what you tell yourself, because your narrative in your head becomes your narrative for the world, regardless of whatever blessings or luck or opportunity is supposed to come your way. If you're sabotaging yourself, you're not going to get any of it. So words matter.
Yes, they absolutely do. And it all starts in your mind. So that was, yeah, I have no other comment on that part.
Let the church say amen.
Amen. I'm just like, whoop, told you that was like a whole word.
Listen, the universe stay dragging me, so I'm gonna drag your listeners.
Listen, I feel like I get dragged all day long with stuff that people tell me, and I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna let that sit in and marinate, people. So I hear you. But I also did want to talk about something also that I thought you really did pretty awesome that you teach in your course, and it's the 5 why technique. Can you explain a little bit more about that? Because I know you did mention that as one of the reasons or the ways to best set a goal is clinging onto your why. So explain what the 5 why exercise is, please.
Yeah. And again, setting the goal, the first thing I said was know your why. So 5 whys will help you. So 5 whys, it's been repackaged and repurposed to many other things. Some people know it as 7 whys deep, or there's another version of it in writing. But 5 whys originates from Toyota, like the car company. And Toyota has a go and see philosophy. So, you know, it's, well, why is the car broken? Oh, well, the carburetor is broken. Why is the carburetor broken? Because blah, blah, blah. You get down 5 whys, and you find out that the training manual for the mechanics that put the car together is incorrect. So if you just change the carburetor, systemically, the problem will persist because the issue is much, much deeper. So 5 whys requires 2 things. One, when you give your reason for your why, the next why, you have to say it in the words either you said yourself or the person that you're doing this with says. You can't rephrase. You got to say what they said. And 2, if you are trying to figure out your why, you have to be honest, and it's going to suck about the second or third why. You're going to be like, why did I do this? So you have to be honest, because you won't get to the answer. Sometimes you might need to go a little bit deeper than 5, but typically around 5, you find the thing. And that is 5 whys. And my partner does this to me a lot. And she'll be like, why this? I'm like, are you 5 whysing me? Not now. Okay. I'm not here for like a breakthrough right now. Okay.
Well, why is it important for the person, or like when you're doing it with your partner, to repeat what your partner said? Where's the importance in that?
Yeah. And it's because you said those words, right? And so I'm just saying what you said. Again, words have power. So if you say, well, why are you upset about this? Oh, because I just feel like an idiot. Well, why do you feel like an idiot? You know, versus why do you feel like that? Like, I'm still asking why. Or like, why do you feel not as smart as others? That's not what you said. So there's a power in hearing the words back to yourself, because it hits you as someone else has told you that now. If someone calls you stupid, you are legit hurt. But the person that's talking back to you is just saying what you just said. So it's really feeling the weight of what your words are. Again, words matter.
Yeah. It's kind of like you're mirroring yourself without actually having to be in the mirror.
Exactly.
That just hit me. And then I was also thinking about like when you're talking to kids, they're always like, well, why this? And like the person answers and there's like, well, why that? And then the adult in the situation is just like, I'm tired of like, why do you keep asking why? But it's just, I'm just seeing like the dots connect.
There's so many analogies about that. So many. We got to stay on topic. So we'll stay here with 5 whys.
So can you use the 5 why exercise like in anything or for anything? Pretty
much. Like I can ask, like, give me an issue that you have, and then we'll do this. So whatever you want to choose, pick your poison, and we'll go.
I don't like oatmeal.
Okay. All right. That is interesting. All right. Why don't you like oatmeal?
Because I don't like the texture.
Why don't you like the texture?
It's slimy and it reminds me of like okra, which I also don't like for the same reason.
Okay, why don't you like slimy things and okra?
Because they tried to force me to eat it when I was younger.
Okay, why did they force you to eat it when you were younger?
Because the theory was, well, the thinking was that those, I didn't like to eat. So those were supposed to be the foods that were supposed to increase my appetite. So it was given to me all the time.
Gotcha. Why didn't you like to eat?
Um, because I didn't always like the options that I was given. And it's like, I just didn't want that. It's like, I didn't find it appetizing. It didn't interest me. It wasn't something that I would be like, oh, yeah, I want to eat that today.
Okay, why didn't you like the options?
Because I probably didn't like how it looked on the plate because I'm also kind of visual. So if it doesn't look appetizing, you're not getting me to eat that. No, sir.
Okay. Why does it have to look appetizing for you to eat it?
Because who wants to eat nasty food? Like, like if somebody brought you boo-boo on a plate, like would you want to eat boo-boo on a plate? I don't. That's not making me hungry. You just killed my appetite. No, sir.
Fair, fair. So at Five Wise, we got to that you didn't like to eat. And underneath that was not something about body image, and it wasn't, an identity issue. It was that you're bougie.
Yeah.
That's what we found out today. You don't like oatmeal because you're bougie. Here we are.
I will take that because I mean, I love food. So long as like it smells good and looks good on the plate, then I'm all about it. But if it don't meet those two things, maybe I will.
So said differently than bougie, you don't like oatmeal because presentation matters.
Yes. Okay. We like that.
Which is probably pervasive in other parts of your life too. So
yeah.
But I've never done one on oatmeal. But there we go. But I appreciate you doing something that would avoid you getting dragged on your podcast today.
Yes, because my original thought, I was like, yeah, I don't feel like getting dragged by nobody. So yes, well, we can talk about that
we can do a separate Five Wise. We could do a bonus version. Start a Patreon and we'll do bonus Five Wise.
Yes. No, but I did like how the more times you asked me why, I thought about it more and really was like, okay, well, why didn't I like it? And I even surprised myself with some of those answers because I didn't know that they existed. And I was like, oh,
right.
That makes a whole lot of sense. Because to this day, I still don't eat those things. And as you said, like appearance, like when you said that, I was like, yeah, that's right. Because even like my husband will try to get me to eat stuff, and I'm just like, I don't know about all that. And he'll be like, oh, it's not being bougie. And I'm like, I ain't even being bougie. So that came full circle for me. So thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Angelic.
You're welcome. But yeah, it could also take the place of like, when you're looking for vacations or you're shopping for a house or you're trying to get clothes of like all the things. But yes, you're welcome. You can Five Wise yourself whenever you want.
Yes, I will definitely keep that as a tool in my own toolkit. And then how long would it take someone to kind of go through the course from start to finish?
Yes, so it's set up in two different ways, exact same content, pick your poison model. So one is a structured 6-week course. So every week a new module will drop. Okay. There's a couple short videos, some worksheets, and some independent work just to think about throughout the week. But again, some people like the structure, so they know to keep going. Other people want to do the Netflix version and just binge it. So there's also an on-demand course. So you can self-pace it. You can be like, this is my weekend of self-reflection, and you just do the whole thing. But one module in terms of watching the videos and doing the worksheets and probably thinking, about like an hour.
Okay.
No more than an hour. So it's I don't like to keep people in like 3-hour lectures. Like, no, here's the bullet points, here's the point, here's the worksheets to think about it yourself, and here are some thoughts to take with you throughout the week. But it really builds on again, the why. It builds on unhealthy goal setting, perfectionism, boundaries, you know, keeping your ambition in check as you go forward. Like, where does ambition even come from? Like, what does it mean? Like, and just quick little drop that's in the course is that until recently, ambition was not a good thing. Like, only recently have we decided that ambition is a positive. It used to be a pejorative.
Really?
Meaning like for like vainglory or ego or vanity, like those things, like it, because the second definition of ambition is a desire to achieve a goal and blah, 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 right? Which is what we all say. The first definition is an ardent desire for fame, rank, or power. And the two roots that it comes from also talk about trying to seek favor and attention and these different things. So it was really more like an arrogance thing. But only the past couple of centuries has it changed to mean you're a go-getter. You get things done. You're an action, you know. So words have power.
Yeah. Yes. And they have meaning. So we can't just be throwing out words all willy-nilly when we're not using them in the proper context. So that's I feel like you just dropped a whole bucket of gems on me just now. Like, ooh, it's raining gems. Like, oh, I learned something new today.
You get a gem. You get a gem. You get a gem.
I love it. So how can people connect with you to either get the course or maybe just like talk to you one-on-one? Because I think you're like so much fun. You're my people.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I try to be fun. Okay. Listen, I'm the youngest of 11, so you gotta survive. You gotta do whatever. To just, yeah. That's why I'm a chameleon, because I got 10 wild siblings that are very different. I am believe it or not, I am the smallest personality of my siblings.
What?
Except for my one sister who's a complete loner and talks to nobody and never sees anybody. I am the smallest person. They are wild.
Oh, wow.
My microphone's over here. Wild.
So I take it it's never a dull moment when you guys get together.
Take it that I only like 3 of them.
Oh, okay. Point taken.
But yeah, you have to be a chameleon. So I try to, you know, meet people where they're at and match the energy. So you're easy to match with. You're my people too. So, but how people can connect with me. So the course is available at toxicambition.com. Again, toxicambition.com. My Twitter handle is North of Oblivion, just NORTH of Oblivion. And that's a reference from being a suicidal teenager and thinking that if I was north of Oblivion, I got a chance. Life can be better. If I'm not dead, I still got a chance to make it better, you know? And I never changed it because that's always been my reminder. So Twitter handles North of Oblivion, or you can send me an email at aw@iamangelique.com. And that's ANGELIC, like the biblical way. Some people say angelic. That's incorrect.
Yeah. But when you look at it, it says I see angelic.
It does. Yes. It does. My sister named me. So, you know.
That's sweet. I love it. Well, Angelique, thank you again for being on this show. I had a really good time talking to you, learning more about toxic ambition and learning that there's 2 meanings to the ambition. One of which I wasn't aware of, because, you know, society is just like, if you're not doing something, if you're not reaching a goal, what are you doing in your life? And sometimes it's like, I'm living it. Maybe that's cool, right? It's cool too.
Listen, there's a song, I can't remember what it is, but it's like, every day I grind. Every day. I'm like, every day? Every day. That doesn't make any sense. That's unhealthy. Also, I forgot for your listeners, the code JBY20 will get you 20% off the course. Yes. So when you go to pick the option, whichever one, the on-demand or the 6-week one, just type in JBY20 at checkout and you will get 20% off.
Yes, because if you can just set aside an hour to just invest in yourself and get yourself together, then that's the biggest and greatest gift you can give out to the universe. Just showing up as a whole person and just, you know, being better. Ain't no wrong with that. So
nothing wrong.
Yeah. So guys, I will catch you next week for another awesome episode of Just Be You podcast. If no one's told you today, remember that you are strong, you are worthy, you are enough, and we'll catch you next time. Bye for now.
Bye.